Well, this isn't the video I had, planned to do today, but, well, things are falling a bit behind. Obviously, I had planned to do More on Modding Highlights Episode 9 today, and that was actually supposed to come out last week. But we've run into just a few issues with Episode 9, and especially Episode 10, which has caused a bit of a delay. And as a result, we haven't had a whole lot of videos out recently, and I didn't want to go too long without a new video, so today, we're taking a look at one of the Modathon mods of 2020, since there were about 230 mods released for that competition last year, we've got a lot of material to work with. And today, we're taking a look at Brandis Overhaul by Sealoff, one of the biggest dungeon mods we released in the competition last year. And of course, you'll find downlinks just down below. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and just get started here. And obviously, this is an overhaul for the vanilla dungeon Brandis, a Dunmer stronghold that's just south of Nissus. And this overhauls both the exterior, as you can see here, and the interior, which we'll get to in just a moment. And you'll notice that it adds these Daedric ruins to Brandis here, which, seem like they've almost burst out of the ground. And that's meant to give, a bit of a unique design to Brandis, because even in the vanilla game, it was a bit of a unique dungeon as far as the Dunmeri strongholds, were concerned. And going inside, you'll find that the interior has just been completely overhauled, pretty much from the ground up, of new caved-in sections, Daedric ruin, bits here and there, Daedra, and some rather just, terrifying-looking rooms, like this one here, with, the skeletons dangling from the ceiling and whatnot. And this really just enhances the atmosphere of Brandis, these dark corridors and this creepy red lighting that just paints scenes of death and decay. It really makes going through Brandis a much more atmospheric experience than it was in the base game. And, there really isn't a whole lot of the original Brandis left here. Pretty much everything has been overhauled and redesigned, including some new areas for you to fight through. And speaking of fighting, you will be doing just more fighting in this overhaul Brandis, because it adds just a ton of new foes for you to face, including Scamps, Winged Twilights, Golden Saints, and other forms of Daedra. And this does kind of just help to balance Brandis a bit, because in the vanilla game, it did have a lot of kind of overpowered loot, like, Daedric weapons and also the Boots of the Apostle, one of the artifacts in the game. So now you'll just have to work a bit harder to get, access to all that loot. But anyway, just moving on, as I mentioned before, this does include new areas here, including a new set of sewers just beneath Brandis, and this just includes one of my favorite parts of this mod, which is this massive cavern that these sewers open up into. These caves and waterfalls that just go down and down and down deep into the earth, and this is just an amazing element of verticality in dungeon design. I mean, I absolutely love how just far down these go. It's really quite epic and just a fantastic experience to just fall down these scenic waterfalls and eventually get to the bottom and find another set of caverns for you to fight through and explore. There's just a lot of cool elements to this mod, and it is a critically underrated mod. I don't think it's gotten nearly the amount of attention it should have. Right now, I think it is currently sitting at about 9 endorsements on the Nexus, which is it's a real shame. This is just a really well-crafted dungeon, and just a really well-crafted mod in general, and it definitely deserves a lot more attention, especially since I don't think there's really any other mods that touch on Brandis that much. But anyway, I would highly recommend it. And as always, down links are just down below. But that wraps up everything for today. Hopefully next week we'll be back on schedule, and again, I do apologize for the delay there. But anyway, thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you all next time.